So now we move on to today's one ridiculous Brexiteer that he is, Douglas Carswell. Because Douglas Carswell, especially, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the talks around basically universal basic income. Essentially, the government's plan to pay workers is essentially universal income in all but name. Now, we have been told many, many times, again, by the Tories and by people on the right wing, that this is impossible to do. And yet, here we are in that situation where the government is paying people's wages. A situation that we were told was impossible. We've already had, what's his name now? Oh, Christ. William Hague, the guy who pretty much created universal credit, come out and say that this would be an awful idea because it would stop people from working. And again, not how it would stop people working, just it would stop people working. Here's the thing. If you give people money, they will go out and spend it. And they will go out and they will buy necessary things. Universal income has proven in many studies, you can go and look them up yourselves on Google, of when they've done these studies, people haven't stopped working. They've actually continued working. In fact, some cases, they've continued working, but they've been able to go part-time, and they've been able to spend more time with their families. You know, things that will benefit to them and their families. Again, just because they've gone part-time doesn't mean they've stopped working. They've continued to work. Some, in many cases, who went part-time then went on to set up their own businesses, and then from that just went full gun with their own businesses as it took off because of universal income. This is something that we can already see on the cards already happening. And it is already the next thing that I think will be the big battleground in a lot of countries, as this will start to come in sooner or later. And now you have a very good case for universal basic income, where you have all these countries doing this, and not, again, through a national, world pandemic, but it's proving a lot of these naysayers wrong about this. And then you've got idiots like this guy, Douglas Carswell, a leading Brexiteer, who basically came out and said this. A Brexiteer tried to claim that universal basic income led to the fall of the Roman Empire, and it massively backfired. So the government is facing increased pressure to introduce a universal basic income for those in the UK facing financial uncertainties as the coronavirus crisis continues to spread, forcing many out of work. This has so far been rejected, as the Chancellor's argued that they have already introduced enough measures. Yeah, this is something else that we want to get to. Enough. You look at our measures and you compare them to France, Germany, Belgium, Holland. We've nowhere near gone as far as these other countries have to protect people. For example, in every other European country, they've froze rent payments. If you are lucky, if you are very lucky, you probably have a compassionate landlord who might have already come round or sent you a letter for the next 3 months to freeze. You don't have to pay rent. That's if you are very lucky. Now, this has only been a very, very few select circumstances. As I've told you, I think landlords are an absolute parasite on this country, and quite frankly, they should have regulations so that it is very hard for a landlord to actually exist. That is my belief, because landlords are part of our housing crisis, which is now a housing disaster. But yeah, that's a video for another time, I think. Anyway, we'll get back into this. Submitted through the pandemic. The issue is likely to rumble on, however, over this long period. and it will last, and it is bound to divide politicians across the board. One politician who is not too keen on introducing universal basic income is former Tory and UKIP MP Douglas Carswell, who came up with a very strange reason against its introduction. In a tweet posted on Thursday afternoon, the Brexiteer claimed that the Romans tried to introduce a form of universal basic income in 123 BC, and it effectively caused the collapse of the empire. So this is Carswell's tweet. Universal basic income, ? The Romans tried it, and it destroyed the Republic. It will destroy our liberal economic order today too. Unfortunately for Carswell, his take was potentially a bit too disputable, and was basically torn to shreds by classic scholar Mary Beard, who corrected the mistake. She replied with this: "Sorry, hope you don't mind if I object here, but the point of Gracchus's subsidised grain was a very long way from universal basic income, and it really doesn't figure among the very complex causes of the fall of the Republic, but we could start a great thread on this." Now, of course, for those that know who Mary Beard is one of the top classic scholars, not only in the UK, but in the world. So when she is saying that this guy is wrong, then he is leagues wrong. He's not even in the same ballpark. He's in another stadium on the other side of the world. That's how wrong this guy is. However, soon Carswell's tweet found itself attracting a lot of interest, and judging by the consensus, he hadn't got this correct in the slightest. Someone else's tweet here: "I'm not convinced that our liberal economic order is worth saving. If it is the engine of oppression, violence, and environmental destruction on a scale unimaginable in 23 BC. Another one person said, "The Arcona, the subsidised free grain supply, was the only thing that allowed the late Republic and imperial city of Rome to exist." Someone else replied, "Whoa, the Roman Republic introduced universal basic income 535 years before the eventual fall of Rome, and 1,565 years before the end of its successor state. Sure, it took a long time for the universal basic income to have a disastrous effect." Someone else replied, "Love the idea of giving an adult male citizen a monthly opportunity to buy a gallon of grain at a subsidised price is somehow the exact same thing as universal basic income." And of course, there were also plenty of jokes too. So this one's a good one. Universal basic income. The Romans tried it from 123 BC, and where are they now? All dead. This was someone else. I don't believe in fire because cavemen did it with sticks, and they got eaten by a mammoth. Still, it looks like Carswell has taken it well, and took the opportunity to promote his history book on trade and economics. Tremendous interest about this tweet about universal basic income and Rome. If interest in how redistributive economics has inhibited human progress, my book may be of interest, looking at, for examples of Republic and Antiquity, Venice and the Dutch. Yeah, I wonder how his book is going to be received by top peer historians. And remember, there are historians who specialise in trade. In fact, there's a really good book. I'm trying to remember what it was called now. It's something to do with like trade and warfare. I can't remember, but it is really good. I'm sure I have it somewhere. I can't remember now. Yeah. So here we are. Disputing the economics of the Roman Empire in the midst of a pandemic is the last thing that we expected to be writing about, but here we are. And that is the last thing I expected to be writing about. Yeah, These people like Carswell, he is a full-on late stage capitalist who is a complete free market worshipper. He is one of these people who, again, back in during the referendum and even now, basically claims that. Well, he didn't before. He was part of the many crowd who said, "Oh no, we won't leave the European Union without a deal." But now, again, changed his tune. Oh, we can leave without a deal. Would be fantastic. We'll join the WTO. And once again, many experts would vehemently disagree on the impacts of what it would have on this country of that. There you go. And once again, you have one of the preeminent classics scholars in this country and in the world basically saying you couldn't be further from the truth. But there you go. That's Brexiteers for you.